Hi, this is Lindsay Tucker, and I'm just going to briefly talk to you about how I plan on using this book builder lesson, Why Geometric Proofs. I plan on using this book to help introduce the topic of geometric proofs to my class. A lot of students don't really understand why we need to do this and don't really see the point and when will they ever use it. And what I always tell my students is you're never really going to write a 2-column geometric proof, but the deductive reasoning behind writing geometric proofs you might use in everyday life, and so in the job, for example. So that's what the whole point of this lesson would be, to kind of provide some motivation for that. When I introduce this lesson and for kids to go through this whole book, I plan on putting them in groups. In my classroom, I have 5 net books, but I have access to 5 more. So I'll probably put them in groups of about 3 or 4, just to be able to bounce ideas off of each other and work together, collaborate a little bit to make this process just a little bit less stressful on them. But I plan to put them in groups of 3 to 4, and then they'll be able to have this link to access the book and talk about everything together. So what I'll encourage them to do is, for each one, kind of click on the coaches here and just, let them talk to them and
fishing. I encourage you to think
things. And then if they need a little bit of prompting or some help or ideas, they can click on Hallie here, and then Alex will kind of give them an answer to kind of help them start thinking about it. The whole goal would be for them to, as a group, write a response on each of the slides. So, for example, for this first one, I'd want them to think about a job or a situation that would require logical thinking, processing, where they might have to create a valid argument. And it says to add to the list of Alex's answers. So they would have had to have seen like a doctor or a lawyer in business. And then they would just click through the slides and have a recorder for each, so that they can write on their answers or type in their answers and submit them. Sorry, it's taking a minute loading. And then they think about, what do they require? And of course they require logic, argument, justification, and then thinking, which kids don't always do. And so they would just go through and answer the responses on each question, or on each page, and then we'd come together as a group and come up with, some group answers, or talk about what they were discussed in their individual groups to kind of wrap up the lesson at the end of the day.